The temperature heated up in round 11 of the candidates in Berlin as 8 of the world's elite players are in an all-out quest to see who will challenge Magnus Carlsen for the world chess title. Fabiano Caruana held on to his slim lead with a draw against Vladimir Kramnik, but surging Sergei Kuryakin defeated Levon Aronian for his 3rd win in 5 games and is now near the top of the standings. Critical matchups abound with dreams of glory on the line. Round 12 analysis of the pressure-filled moment starts right now.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Shahade. Welcome to Today in Chess, hosted at the St. Louis Chess Club. I am with Grandmaster Yasser Seirawan. Happy birthday.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. Delighted to share the happiness.
That's right, and I'm sure everybody tuning in is very excited to wish you a happy one as well. So everybody reach out to us on Twitter and at our phone line to give a little good wishes to our birthday boy.
Yeah, share the love. Jennifer, what a tournament we're witnessing here in Berlin. The candidates, it's just been fantastic, and what matchups we have today.
Yeah, and today's round is particularly critical, but before we get into that, let's look at the standings and why today matters so much. Well, Fabiano Caruana has been on this half-point lead for a while now, Yasser. Nobody is seeming to overtake him, but today it's a very big opportunity for Mamedyarov, Sergei Kuryakin, and Alex Grishuk, all of whom have white. And this is a really key opportunity to try to get a win in and catch Fabi before it might be too late.
Absolutely. 3 crucial games feature the top players. And let's take a look at those pairings to see how vital they are.
Well, we've got Alexander Grishuk playing white against Levon Aronian. That game is underway. Levon being very wounded. Golden opportunity potentially for Alex. Meanwhile, Sergei Kuryakin playing creatively against the ever formidable defender Fabiano Caruana. A lot hangs in the balance of that game. Could end up being $1 million chess game, Yasser.
It could very, very well be, and indeed at this moment they are locked in a battle royale. And also this matchup between Shaq and Ding, that too could very, very well be $1 million game, as you just said.
That's right, Mamedyarov playing white against Ding Liren. Ding Liren with so many opportunities yesterday to say, hey, I'm in this tournament too.
Right.
It didn't work out for him, but today he could be a spoiler for Mamedyarov.
No question about that.
But we've got Maurice to go over some details on the key matchup today of that rematch between Kuryakin and Caruana.
Absolutely.
Well, as we remember, 2 years ago, these two young gladiators faced off against each other, and critically, Kuryakin was able to win that big game that Fabi had to win because the tie breaks were bad for him, and he went down in flames. Kuryakin goes on to compete against Magnus Carlsen in what was indeed a competitive World Championship match. Well, now the tables have turned. It is Fabi who is ahead. A whole point, as a matter of fact, Kuryakin needing to win basically today, or else Fabi will keep an extended lead against him, as you see there. Fabi has since gotten his measure of revenge, but it would be sweeter to win today, obviously, in this very big candidates tournament. Kuryakin will have a thing or two to say about that, and he will most likely want to win this game. Why? Because he's got 2 big games ahead. The first one against Wesley So in that position. Wesley's been so solid lately. He started off not so great, but he's been solid of late, and it would be a difficult one to win for Kuryakin. And also against Ding Liren, who no one has defeated in this tournament so far. He has been proven to be extremely solid. So Kuryakin will want to take the bull by the horns and win today. In the meantime, Fabi, he knows a draw is okay. As a matter of fact, in the next round, he gets Levon Aronian, who is absolutely wounded and struggling just to get to the finish line. So that's a big game for Fabi. He will then face off, of course, against the mercurial Alex Grishuk, who will have all to play for in that final round, as he is right behind Fabi, a point behind, looking to get a win as well. And if he could do that, then he would indeed surge into better tie breaks. So Fabi knows it's not secure as yet. He's going to have to compete in this game, and they have a barn burner going on right now.
Thank you, Maurice. And let's take a look at Levon's struggles in this event.
Yes, indeed, yes. You know, Lavon had such a phenomenal 2017, the Grenge Classic, Norway Chess, and the FIDE World Cup, perhaps most impressive of all.
The 128-player knockout that he survived all the way to the finals and won.
That's right. And not only that, he also won a little tournament here in St. Louis, the St. Louis Rapid and Blitz, which was, you know, stolen the show by Gary Kasparov, who came out of retirement. But Levon winning that was really awesome because he's such a favorite here in St. Louis.
Absolutely.
But this tournament, not so much.
Right. Well, it's almost a tale of two halves. In the first 5 rounds, he drew. He fell into an amazing piece of preparation, lost against Vladimir Kramnik, one of the best tournaments, best games of the tournament, but he bounced back with a win in round 4, drew round 5. So after 5 rounds, he was at 50% and looking okay. But then came just a horrible series. He lost, he drew, he lost, to tumble to -4.
Wow.
Really bad second half so
lamentable
far.
Indeed. And, you know, Yaz, I'm getting so many happy birthday wishes.
Thank you to our audience for joining us, of course.
Indeed. Somebody said, I usually don't read the YouTube comments because it's not good for your health.
Okay.
But this is a good one. Tommaso Ganiari says, happy birthday, Yasser, the best human on earth.
The best?
The best human on earth.
Human. I heard human. Wow.
That's a fan.
That's a fan.
That's a super fan right there.
Yeah.
There are a lot of humans on the planet, by the way.
YouTube comments are never that nice, Yaz.
Wow.
I mean,
well, thank you very much.
I'm used to hearing a lot of comments that you can't actually say over the air on YouTube, but that one passes the test.
Yes, I think you're certainly in the top 1%.
Thank you very much.
I can't give the best.
The best. No, I wouldn't even go there with the 1%.
But top 1%. Definitely.
And if you want to,
happy birthday, guy.
I think we just saw the phone number across the screen. But if you guys want to call in, ask a question, give a unique birthday wish to Yasser Seirawan, 314-361-5465. Call in. This is just such an important round for U.S. chess. As we see Fabiano Caruana really defending well in this tournament. That's one thing I've really liked from Fabiano. He's playing against the Minister of Defense himself. Look at this last move he played a few moves ago, perhaps, this G5 move. That's some good defense there, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Well, let's just take it from the top. This position came from a Russian defense that Fabi has been employing, I'm going to say, in the last few years of his career. And certainly no surprise, it will not have come as a surprise to Sergei, and the players more or less blitzed through their opening preparations. All of these moves have been seen before. And then the slightly different take for me is this move A2, A3. And a lot of times, White is actually playing B3 and putting his king on B2, or simply playing king B1. A3 is a little bit of a new wrinkle. H7, H6. The move knight G5 in this rather symmetrical position can be annoying. So H7, H6. All of these moves are, again, fairly standard. Up to here, Rook G8. I think a lot of people might have said, okay, I'm going to castle, kings on opposite sides, let's go. However, Fabi, all he needs is a draw. He wasn't interested in getting into a very big battle with kings on opposite flanks. And we got to this position, and here, again, I think because of the tournament situation, Sergei speculated with an exchange sacrifice, picked up a bishop and a pawn for a rook. The resulting position, which we're about to get to, is quite deceptive. Materially speaking, Fabi is doing very well. No problem. However, in practical terms, it's actually a very awkward position for black to play, Fabi to play. This bishop on d5 is a very dominant bishop, especially black's king is a little bit weaker than his counterpart. And we were actually sweating before we came on the air. We were worried that after a move like queen f3, rook e7, for example, the bishop swings back to f2. And here we can see that h4, g5, the bishop could even come to this g3 square. This would have really put a lot of pressure on Fabi's position. Instead of that move, the attractive looking rook d3 actually isn't going anywhere. And after this very good counter move, g7, g5, I think Fabi is basically doing quite well at this moment.
Why do you like g5 so much?
I want to trade off the dark square bishops. If I can get the two bishops off the position, out of the position, I don't think that we're talking about compensation, and maybe with the two bishops on the board, we're talking maybe advantage white. Take the dark square bishops off the board, and I think we're talking simple equality.
How are you going to pull that off, though, Yaz? I mean,
I don't know how he's going to.
I mean, I see what you're saying, but that bishop on d5
is a monster. Yeah,
it is unassailable, pretty much.
Correct.
I mean, the only way to undermine it is the move b5,
right?
Which obviously is very suspect.
Exactly. You
Now, if you take a look at that situation where the bishop on d5 is going to stay there forever, then the compensation, as far as black is concerned, when I speak in compensation, the plus for black is having the exchange. However, those rooks are not exactly lined up.
Right.
Well, they're lined up, but they're not lined up vertically
yes.
to penetrate into the position. So they'll never show anything. So basically, in this, to my eyes, this is a two-result position for Kuryakin. Like, why would he ever think of losing this position? I mean, if you had to bet, would you say white's going to lose somehow? How does black even think about troubling white? Now, that said, black doesn't have to win the game, but it looks like black is in only a two-result mode of draw or loss, maybe closer to the draw. Maybe he's putting up a great defense. But he's not the one thinking about, let me see if I can figure some kind of funky stuff out here to try to win the game. I mean, in this position, I think it's a crazy idea. But it seems to me that someday white might try to engineer an h4 sacrifice with g5. Maybe that's a little bit extreme. Maybe if I maybe drop my bishop back somehow to d2, which would be a odd square, and then play for h4 and g5 and something like this. It just seems like black has nothing to do. Black is waiting to figure out what white has to do. White might even play a4, a5. I mean, it's
good arguments.
It just seems like I don't know what to do for white really that works. But it seems like white is the one who's never going to lose and can choose if he keeps the battle keeps it going.
Yeah, well, I gotta say I'd rather be white too. What about you guys? Would you rather be white or black?
I think there are three results possible. I think it's easier to play white, but again, I do see three results. Why? Well, let's just take a look at something very concrete. It's not black to move. Black's last move was rook e7. Let's make a move for white. You mentioned bishop d2, Maurice. And before we go to bishop d2, for example, we like levers, you and I, and we say, who's got the levers? And you mentioned a4, a5 as one. There's another one, too. You might, it's double-edged, but you might be looking at b2, b4, the rook swings over to a3, and, there's
that's a point.
There's some nasty there going on.
You're always going to have to worry about, takes on b4 and then takes on d5, your c4 and your c2 pawn.
Oh, yeah,
get a little soft.
Yeah,
you got to be ready for it.
Oh, exactly.
Play b4 only with good preparation.
So yeah, on a practical level, but if you look at the concrete, and here's what I want to say just about, bishop d2. Let's just see. I take, you take. I play bishop e5. Now, really, my goal is simply to trade the dark square bishops. If you allow that to happen,
that's not going to
no, it's not going to happen. You're going to take. I'm going to take. Now, f7 is obviously a potential weakness, and again,
let's keep it going.
Let's
just
keep
make
it
some
going.
Bishop g5.
Very nice move.
Reasonable.
I totally agree with that one. My rook will drop back. Now you could play like rook f3 and try to, I don't know, gang up on my pawn. Yeah.
I just want to know where your bishop's going to go, because I also have rook h3, rook h7 as another plan.
Rook h3, rook h7.
And you're going back to e5, though.
Definitely.
And that creates a little bit of a
Yeah, okay, well, actually, that's worth just taking a gander at for just a second, because here's where I really want to go with this, is let's imagine that I play a move like f7,
No, that's why I
f6.
don't want to do this.
Yeah.
You get that.
And if I could just, get everything off the board.
Okay,
I
but
feel
hold on. So
yeah.
now, back up one move. I just played rook h3.
Okay.
And if you do put your bishop on e5, I do have queen f5, don't I?
Yes. Totally legal move. And let's say get out of that pin. There might be some nasty things happening.
So now you're not as... Okay, now if I play rook h7?
Yeah, you're tying me up, but it feels rather temporary. Ooh, do I want to play rook f8 might run into bishop h6.
Rook e3 was also something.
Rook e3 was another move. Rook e3. Oh, I like rook e3. For rook e3, f6, you have something. Oh, f6 weakens.
Sorry, queen. We were going at queen f5.
Queen
for a
f5,
second.
I like.
Yeah, well, let me just get in f7,
Oh,
f6.
so okay, yeah.
Let me just do that one.
Wait, can I
You can
think
take
about
it.
taking it?
Yes.
I'm a little skeptical, but I'm not a materialist like you. But
I like
do
the
have
pods.
a passed g pawn that goes to g8, and your king. I don't know.
I haven't lined up my rooks are not beautiful. That is for sure. My rooks are not beautiful.
Although they do look a little bit more promising now that the dark squared bishops are traded.
That's my
does
whole
help,
point.
yeah.
If you could get rid of the dark square bishops, a lot of the poison in the position that white
You're
has.
playing for a draw, right? Because
I am.
G5 right now, for example,
Right.
may not win the game for me, but it probably is a bad idea.
No. I mean, I think it's a reasonable idea. Again, this bishop at the end of the day, after you wipe everything off the board, the bishop on d5 is still a monster.
So I should keep queens and keep playing. It's still white. White's the one who's playing there for something.
Well,
Yeah, and there's tricks when you are approaching the end of the time control. Yeah, so
Right.
it does seem like, to me, it seems scary for Fabiano, but
Yes.
at the same time, you're right. If he makes that time control, maybe things will flip in the other direction. And another thing going in Caruana's favor is he's been defending so well in this tournament. I mean, remember that game against Mamedov where he calmly found all the best defensive moves and even had an advantage at some point.
Right.
Not an advantage, but there were some lines where it looked like it was going in his direction, right?
No, he's been very consistent, and his errors he's managed to keep at a minimum, and he's been very fortunate too. I mean, again, that game with Vladimir Kramnik, that could have easily swung against him, but Vladimir has been stealing the show with his games. And even today, fantastic game against Wesley So. We'll get to that one too. Vladimir has been really luckless. Sometimes you just need to be lucky in the tournament to do well. But over to you, Maurice. What do you make yourself? You think that this position is a two-result game at the moment?
Well, Yasser,
yes.
You are a much better player
No,
than the two of us on the panel, right? And we just made a series of moves, and at the conclusion of that, it was still white trying to press a little bit.
That's true.
And you didn't prove your argument. I have to tell you that it was a three-result possibility. It was always white. I never felt in danger at all.
Right.
It was always white that was saying, I'm trying for something.
Moves.
Yeah.
Right? And
Right.
you would have needed more moves to prove to me that you had anything in that
Right.
position. So if you're not creating pressure on me,
Right.
and I had to feel like it's not dangerous for white.
Okay,
white may not be winning. I mean,
Right.
I'm not making any claim that white is winning.
Right.
Far away from it. But I just don't like that he has to think about how to liquidate, get rid of pieces. He can't trade off the bishops. That's a strategic goal of his. It doesn't come about in any way. He can't make it happen. And even, for example, you went after my H pawn. I could have maybe tickled with H3 and just put it on H3 so you didn't have that possibility as well. And sit there and wonder, how do you not suffer? And maybe you're going to just figure out, okay, I'm going to sit here, and how do you beat me?
Right.
Maybe that is the right thing, and there's just this stasis on the board and nothing else. But we mentioned there are pawn breaks. B4 is a little bit much, but it's there. It feels super aggressive and possible. And also A4, A5 is whispering in the position. It does create a little bit of risk because white has to open his king in order to make that happen. But the rook could get to this A4 idea, the rook could possibly get to a3, and that's full protect. Actually, I don't even know how you exploit it if I play for a4, a5. You might have to play a5 yourself.
Right.
To blockade that side.
A4, A5. I agree. I would probably have to play A5. But once you played A4, I was a little bit more afraid of the break B4. That you lost that lever.
Yes, exactly. If A5 looks like it's old school Nimzo Indian idea of blockading against that A4.
Right.
So maybe I don't do that, but it feels like, I mean, white has 5 ranks, right? White's the one with the bishop on D5. Black has 3 ranks, and those rooks look silly. It just feels like...
Another very direct idea, I'm not sure it's that good, but another very direct idea is if you fall into my trap and you allow me the dark square bishops traded, you may play a move like Queen F6, angling not only obviously to take this pawn on G5, but maybe if that queen ever waltzes away, I got Queen C6.
With the rook slip into the H file in that position as well, creating some damage along the H line.
Yes.
I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's a win. It's not a win. It's far away from it. But it really feels like white's the one with all the possibilities to think of. And if you slip, torture you a little bit, get you a little bit of time pressure, this could be highly unpleasant for black.
Let me refresh the game, because I believe some moves have been made, and maybe now we can get a better insight into the plans of the players. We did see this move Queen F3, by the way. Sergei came back to that. We thought that move was even stronger when this rook was on D1, by the way. But okay, King D8. Whoa. Okay, that's an indication right there that Fabi doesn't have any direct way of dealing with the pressure, and he's worried of the potential of the queen and bishop on the light squares being reversed and a queen coming to A8. So he's played King D8, maybe intimating that his plan is to slip away with his king over to G7. He could be jumping into the fire, but
that's
okay.
A walk.
And after the move King D8, we do have the response Bishop D2. So let's just play along for a moment with.
No, you can't do it.
No, I can't. Bishop C6. Okay, that answers that one. Okay, what else could I do to address the pressure?
I think you just have to kind of wait around and see what white's plan is.
Do some kind of a waiting move?
Like king back.
Rook to D6?
Rook D6, yeah.
Maybe rook D6. I do agree that my rooks feel entangled with one another. I'm not proud of these rooks.
And I'm worried about the time control too, because we are in like the 26 area. These next 10 moves are not. These next 14 moves are going to have to be played at a relatively brisk pace, and that's always bad timing when you're the one who has the pressure on you.
Yeah.
But we're going to take a quick phone call. Welcome to the show. Let us know your name and your question.
Hi guys, how you doing?
Good.
Great.
I called yesterday, John Curtisco, upstate New York. I was going to ask you a question, I forgot. Yasser, you and I are old enough to remember the Maurice and Jennifer Arndt 1972 World Championship. And the effect it had on U.S. chess. It was a worldwide phenomenon. What do you think the impact will be if Khurana is lucky enough, I don't want to jinx the poor guy, if he's lucky enough to get through here to play in the World Championship, since it's been 45 years since we've had an American in the final. So I was just curious, Yasser, since you were and I around back then, you knew the impact then. What do you think it'll have now?
Well, thank you again, Jack, for giving us a call and asking this question. Well, first of all, I don't think it would have as great an impact as 1972. That was an amazing moment in time. Politically, it was the Cold War, America versus the USSR. That was just an entire extraordinary moment in history, never to be repeated. However, having said that, I think it would absolutely have a wonderful positive impact on U.S. chess. It would be very, very, very nice. It's a happy thought to have what could potentially happen in case Fabi were to be the challenger. But I'd also like to just point out that in 1995, Gada Kamsky, a defector from the Soviet Union, became a U.S. citizen and did play in the finals. He did lose against Anatoly Karpov in a FIDE World Championship. But anyway, I think it would be marvelous for chess. It would really help, and the publicity would just be great.
I totally agree, Yaz. And to the caller mentioning the whole jinx thing, don't worry.
Yes.
It's bad luck to be superstitious.
Right.
So we don't believe in jinxes over here. So tell us about how Fabiano is going to win all day. All night and all day. And, also, yes, the thing is the infrastructure now. It's so great with the St. Louis Chess Club, with U.S. Chess Federation's numbers growing, with the Pro Chess League, Chess.com's numbers growing.
Right.
I mean, I think the infrastructure is so great right now that if we do have a boom in publicity with something like Fabi qualifying
We're
and, dare
ready
I
to
say,
scale.
winning,
Yeah.
we are ready to scale and bring those people in with welcome arms and hold on to them and don't let them go.
Exactly.
Until they play chess till the day they die.
Well, there's no question. This is a golden age for chess, and I think you were at the Super Nationals. That was it 2016 or 2017? I'm not sure. The Super Nationals where there were like 6,000 competitors breaking all kinds of.
2017, but each one in the last couple iterations has broken records
Every time,
yes.
right? So our scholastics is booming. Chess on the internet is great. The chess clubs itself, in some ways, are suffering the success that we're having over the internet. Because now you can play, 724 against games on these game playing sites all over, and it's sort of like, well, your club member numbers might go down because why go to the club when you can play over the internet? Now, having said that, here in St. Louis, obviously the chess club is just booming, and we're getting members numbers, and our YouTube numbers are going crazy. Verusian Akobian's video on YouTube has hit 1 million downloads. I mean, the club
Shout out to VAR.
Yeah, the club is really reaching its mission, which is to promote and educate and raise the awareness of chess in the United States.
Yeah, I'm very positive about it. Yeah,
Very
I think
positive.
Your comparison about online and live. I think in the end of the day, if online becomes big enough, people want that live experience as well.
They do.
So even though at first glance it might look bad, I think ultimately it's good. Like Chess.com, even they arrange meetups. John Bartholomew, who's internet chess streaming sensation, he does like meetups in different cities, and they're packed as far as I understand.
Fantastic.
So it ends up being good in the end, just the kind of way that online dating does eventually lead to more meetups, right?
More dates.
But we do have a young caller. Welcome to the show. Let us know your question and where you're calling from.
Hello, I am coming from Arizona.
Hey.
Hello.
And the question I was going to ask you, Yasser Seirawan, was do you know Robert Tanner? I'm one of his students.
I'm very aware of the name. I can't recall actually having met him.
Robert Tanner?
Robert Tanner.
I think you did. He was a TD maybe in the chess tournament, the U.S. Championship in Denver, which I'm pretty sure you played in.
Right.
So you must have met.
The U.S. Junior Championship?
Or maybe it was one in Phoenix. Wasn't there a U.S. Championship in
There
Phoenix that you played in?
Yes.
He was like
that's right.
a tournament director at that.
That's right.
But
Scottsdale, Arizona, I think.
But you know how it is with a tournament director. The less you hear from them, the
better.
the better the organization is, right?
But shout out to Robert for all the good work he does on chess, and obviously, as a pupil, you seem to be very happy with Robert. So thank you for the mention and the question.
And Arizona is one of those places that does have a booming chess scholastics.
Right.
You've got, I know Robbie Adamson was on the Chess Life magazine cover a few years ago, maybe 8 years ago, for like his scholastic initiatives, and Angelina Balakovskaya lives there as well. So it's
Danny Wrench, yeah.
Yeah, Danny Wrench lives there. Of course,
Yeah.
most of his work is on chess.com itself,
Right.
but yeah, he does some live events as well.
Well, the Chess Emporium, Scott, there at the Chess Emporium, he has 30 coaches, 30, reaching out to 25,000 students a year in the greater Phoenix metropolitan area. And his work is just fantastic. I mean, and Danny came through the Chess Emporium. But let's go over to Maurice, because you've got breaking news for us over there too, Maurice.
Well, we have been paying a lot of attention to a key matchup, of course, the one between Kuryakin and Fabiano Caruana. But another extremely important matchup is taking place between Mamedyarov and Ding Liren. Now, Mamedyarov is only a half a point behind Caruana. So as far as he's concerned, with 2 whites in the next 3 games, well, he actually has 2 whites back-to-back. He figured it is time to make a move and go after the Chinese superstar. But Ding Liren has been a very tough man to defeat in this tournament, and he really was very unlucky not to be able to put the nail in the coffin against Grishchuk. And in this game, this was the position. You see here a very big pawn structure for white as far as the center is concerned, but black looking for some compensation on the queen side with his pawns, pushing his pawns down the board. And in this position, this move shocked me. The move G4 appeared on the board, looking to try to get some attack going on this side. Well, he had to be careful, because after A4, bishop to C2, knight to D7, Ding was trying to trade off pieces, get rid of a pair of knights, and make this side look very porous. Not playing to bring the knight back, a move you liked, Yasser, knight back to D3. He simply played bishop to D3, and once the knights came off, suddenly these pawns were starting to run down the board. Bishop to C4, bishop back to D7, getting out of harm's way. And now G5, continuing the aggressive stance on this side. H takes G5, splitting his own pawns, did white with this move. Queen G5, I mean, look at this H pawn. Look at the king forever without secure shelter. But going Vabong for the win. Bishop back, queen e7. Now this move, b3, ab3, a3, sacrificing a pawn to get a pass pawn on this square. The move b4 was played, but this move, this position, somebody's going to win. This is not draw territory right now. If Mamedyarov were to lose, that would be disastrous for him, of course, especially if Fabi were able to pull off a draw in his game. That's not looking easy at all, by the way. And this is shades of, I think it's Kramnik and Carlsen. Was it Kramnik Carlsen in 2013 when both of them had to hold themselves together in a critical last round game and they both lost?
Yes.
And that caused Carlsen to be able to move forward. Okay, it's not the last round, but the leaders might be slipping a little bit right now. Under pressure is Fabi in his game, trying to make sure he doesn't lose. Mamedyarov going all in. He's up a pawn right now, but that pass pawn looks very dangerous, especially with his exposed king. We see the score right now as Kuryakin looks to jump. Ding Liren might be back in the hunt if he wins. Wow. That would be chaos. Again, a single loss could change everything. We're following all the action right now on Today in Chess.
Wow, Maurice, that game between, and I've got it up on my board too, between Ding and Shaq, that is an amazing game. The problem Black is having is this white queen that has invaded the Black's camp on E7 is reaching in the position and basically tickling the rook on D8 as well as the bishop on E8. Yeah, and the problem is, sorry, I was just going to say the problem that Black would have is he would love to take this pawn and come down with a check, harass White's king, but he can't do it because the rook is hanging. The rook would love to take this pawn on D4, but it can't do it because the bishop is hanging. So, sorry, you were going to have a...
oh, God, I just love your point about the queen on E7 and the bishop on E8 because, you know, that bishop on E8 is a kind of sophisticated defensive maneuver.
Right.
But, you know, with the queen on E7, normally you would just be able to play like rook E8 and say back off.
Back off.
So it's like a really logical configuration that we don't see that often.
No, we don't. And so I'm looking at a very concrete move. The move I'm looking at is rook A8. First of all, allowing now for queen takes B4, but even more serious, threatening A2. Once that bishop captures, well, the rook will be able to capture the bishop because it's doing so with a check. I was just trying to make heads or tails out of king G3, but again, there's a double threat. Now he could take this pawn on B4. I don't know what's going on in this game, Maurice. It's a very concrete position.
This looks terrible for White.
Well, yeah.
I mean, okay, your queen looks sophisticated on E7. It's all in there and stuff.
Right.
But it's doing nothing. It's just tying down a bishop.
Okay.
Meantime, if b4 falls,
Right.
this position will all be about king safety. And if we
Right.
just make the position all about king safety, forget about the pass pawn on a3, which you're not going to forget about. You're going to be like, what?
What? Yeah.
But that pawn is always on a3.
Yeah.
What does white have? Like, where do you point to white as far? Okay, you're up a pawn, but
Right.
seems to me that you're about to lose that pawn. It seems to me that you better do something now or else.
Well, let's do something now.
Okay.
Let's go d5.
But you follow my argument, right?
Absolutely,
I mean,
you're
because
100%.
you need to do something
Now.
now.
Yes.
Because stuff's about to happen, and d5 just looks like a must move.
Right.
Because
and
you're going to die.
I'm looking at an explosive line like a2 takes on e6.
Whoa,
Holy
whoa,
cow.
Whoa. What?
Queen.
Mates on. Oh, you're trying to mate me.
Yes, I
But
am
you can't mate
indeed.
me because. Oh,
You'll
you
be
can mate
careful.
me. Excuse me.
No,
No, your rook is pinned. Your
Well, we do
rook.
have-
Your
I have-
rook would not mate.
Oh, the
Your
rook
rook would
is.
not mate, and I have queen h6 defending. With your queen is not going to mate either.
Oh,
So
my
it's
word.
not mate.
Whoa.
I was
Some
about to
crazy
play
lines.
rook c5, h5. And
No matter what you take with, you can play
the
bishop
software
takes,
won't let me.
boom, queen.
That's so brutal.
No,
but
you
let's
lose.
Yes.
take a phone call. We have a very
Please.
special caller. Welcome to the show. Let us know your name and your question.
Okay, this is Yvette and Yuri from Hilversum, and our question is, does Yasser have a great birthday? We want to wish him a happy birthday.
Happy birthday!
Well, that was a little bit insider joke there. Thank you, wifey. My wife Yvette calling from Hilversum with the family to wish me a happy birthday. Thank you, guys. Sorry I can't be there with you, but we're having all a lot of fun here in St. Louis.
And we've heard so much about your nephew Yuri and niece Vivian.
Vivian, yes.
So it's kind of nice to have them on the show. But when are you going to bring them to St. Louis? The cool uncle.
Yeah, no,
Cool
the
Uncle
cool
Yaz.
that's definitely on our agenda. It might be here, might be coming up for this year's Phil Cup, or maybe even next year's Phil Cup. But one of the two.
And it's great to hear from Yvette, but it's even better to actually have her here.
Of course.
She really is a ray of sunshine, Yaz.
Thank you.
How do you manage that?
Sometimes you just get lucky, really, really, really lucky, and that's my answer, and I'm sticking with it.
So luck applies in chess as well, apparently.
And life, absolutely.
Can we get back to that
Yes.
position, by the way?
Yes.
I mean, Yvette, by the way, you know we love you.
Yeah.
And, I'm looking forward to visiting the new home quite soon. But the action
This game
heating
is
up.
wild.
And I gotta tell you, this position looks awesome. This is the kind of chess position we want to see because it looks like Ding Liren is all over this guy. Rook A8 was played. Rook A8 was played, and the threat is
A2.
Is A2. Now you want to play this move, but A2, Yaz, your tactic doesn't work. And
Right.
Takes is not going to do anything. I mean, you could take if you want to, but this is going to be a girl, and this is not mate at all because of the pin. So D5, A2, what are you going to do? If taking doesn't work, this pawn is a queen coming
That's
on the board.
right.
If you take, then I guess I could just take with check. You got to go up the board.
Right.
And the bishop is hanging with check, but that's going to be a one mover. And we know how these positions work. He who attacks first usually mates. Queen and
Right.
rook. So you could take here, I could move, and now your rook's hanging, and this check is hanging, and that king is hanging. I mean, that looks busted. This looks, I mean, unless you have something to deal with what's about to come at your king.
Right.
Which looks like a wave of checks that are going to just fly at this king. And remember, queen and rook versus queen and rook positions, or even queen, major piece endings of all stripes, a dominant feature in that to use to just evaluate it in general is king safety.
Right.
Now, of course, you have to calculate and be very specific to see what's going on, but usually a dominant feature is king safety. And in this position, it is very clear the black king, at least for the moment, because you can't get in a free move, pawn takes pawn, at least for the moment, it's black who's more secure, and this white king that's wondering, am I getting mated in 4 or 5 moves by some sequence of these pieces attacking with this queen checking along the dark squares. And this move, rook back,
yes.
I would be thinking about this move, but I'd also be thinking about a move like this one, threatening the rook, threatening queen g5, mate as well. That's going to get your attention.
Yes, it is.
So this is not easy at all, and I think that his position is too porous. This pawn on g2 wants to be back on the board. and we are here.
Right.
And D5 was played in the
Wow.
game. D5, it seems, has been played, and
A2.
well, we're waiting. We've been waiting for some time in this position after D5. I don't know. Looks like Mamadurov is going down.
Oh, man. And
It
then what
does.
could have been for Ding Liren, who, if he had won yesterday, would have been at +2.
Wow.
Oh, my.
Wow.
And
Oh,
he
gosh.
Was,
He had a surge.
if he had found that move knight D8
Twice.
and let's take a look at how Shaq got to second in the position. Well,
First
he
round
started
win,
well.
Just like Fabi. They
He
both won their first game.
Yeah, with a victory. Then a draw, draw, and a second victory. But since those two victories in the first 5 rounds, he's basically drawn all the way to the current round 12, where he's engaged in a super double-edged position. We think he may be losing.
And if he loses, wow, how good is that for Fabiano? Assuming that Fabiano does not lose this game. Now, it's also
it's
good
huge.
for Kuryakin if Kuryakin manages to win it.
Right, because
then
then
he'll be
have +2 with Fabi
And Mamidarov will be knocked down.
to +1.
And we've been mentioning earlier that Mamidarov's tie breaks are looking pretty hot. So,
thanks to Sonnenberger and his undefeated score as well.
yeah, and some of the players that he's defeated. Yeah, indeed.
This
so
might be a
this could
death
be-
blow, and for Ding Liren too. Then we have to look at his road ahead, because he's in there with a shout at +1. If everybody's at +2, and I think we
the
have
reason
more
is that
moves.
Mamidarov,
way-
we do have some more moves. And by the way,
Yeah.
Mamidarov did beat Kuryakin. That's why it was so dangerous for Kuryakin to be tied with him, because
That's
he's
right.
always going to lose the tiebreak because of the
That's right.
head-to-head. So if he can eclipse Mamidarov somehow, that's amazing. But
By the
first
way,
he has to beat Fabi.
That's right.
By the way, let's
Yes.
before we get too excited.
Yeah, and we are
As I'm
excited.
guilty of always.
Oh, God.
Sorry. But
Guilty.
before we get too excited, this is the Berlin candidates. This is crazy what's happening here. Every round we're seeing madness and mayhem. I don't think you can predict anything after this round. No matter what happens, whoever wins, loses. This has been the soap opera of candidates for a long time. Everybody in contention, so many players in contention now. If Fabi loses and Ding Liren wins, then suddenly we have Fabi, Kuryakin, Mamadurov, Grishchuk, and Ding Liren, all 5 in the mix. And
With two games to go.
who knows what's going to happen?
Right.
So it's nuts right now. What could and Kramnik is probably thinking, man, if I could have just win this game, I might be in the mix too.
Right.
With the 2 rounds to go. So it has been a crazy candidates, well worth our attention and the whole world's eyes on. And wow, it is continuing in this round.
And we
Oh,
do
it's
have some
fantastic.
moves in that critical game.
What?
Yes, and it did go along the lines that you guys are analyzing with
Well-
D5A2. D takes
D5A2. This was our
D
sorry.
takes E6, and then
Yes.
this marvelous idea. It's a girl.
It's a girl.
And pawn equals queen.
Yes, indeed.
And now after allowing takes on S7 with the idea that there's no mate.
Right, we
because of the
can't.
queen blocking.
We can't slip over with our rook to H5.
Wait,
Bishop
is that
takes
it?
F7. Yeah, we're analyzing bishop takes
That's
F7.
game over.
And then they made time control. So a bad time for Mamidarov to make time control, now realizing that
game's
none of
over.
the ideas are leading to mate because of this nifty little, yesterday. Well, and also the defensive powers of the queen after queen H4, queen H6, right?
That's a boss.
Well, I was just trying to see how bad is it. I guess it's really the reason that you don't win at once is that I do have A2 square protected. So what is there a real kill here? I'm missing something.
Oh, because you're saying you also have queen D8, right? So we can't just play like rook A6 allowing queen D8. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I would be happy to say it if I saw it.
Queen D8 and queen G8 mating, yeah.
Wow.
But we actually have a caller, another special caller. Welcome to the show. Let us know your name and your question.
Oh, thank you. My name is Rex, and I'm lost in the hinterland of central Missouri. And my question is, Yasser, do you feel not just older but wiser today?
Well, thank you, Rex. We're going to have to put a filter on our phone calls. We'll just allow anybody to call in, huh? Yes, I feel older. Wiser is the jury's out on that one, Rex.
Oh my! Well, do you feel wiser, not just older?
I definitely feel older, and again, just the wiser. But fortunately, I'm surrounded by all of these great minds. I guess I'll have to say I feel a little wiser today.
Well, thank you, Rex Singfield. Of course, he's the founder of the St. Louis Chess Club.
And don't let Fabi lose.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rex. Thank you for your call.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
All right, let's get back to this position, please, because that moment I'm still trying to figure out after Rook H5.
Right,
How
that was
does
my
the
last
Black
move.
Queen? Let's get to that position
Right.
on your board. How does the Black Queen? Because Queen F6 loses to Queen takes Queen, right? Well, maybe not lose.
Yeah, I think that does lose.
No, it does lose, right? Because you end up material. Four pawns for one, right? Because you say pawn takes, rook takes, and king g7 wins the piece back. Yes, wins the piece back, but then the rook just stays, and you got 3 extra pawns, so 4-1. So you can't bring your queen to you could defend your queen, Queen C1, but then I just trade queens.
Oh, I'm very happy.
And you're not going to lose.
That's
right. That's the problem.
That's right. You have to come up with some way of exploiting my king.
We have Queen A7. Right?
Oh, we have Queen A7.
Oh, we have Queen A7 check. Oh, that's a beauty. That's the old double attack. Hello. Thank you, Jennifer. That clears the cobwebs.
You know what I was thinking? I was going to be a genius and play Queen B2 check. So Rook H5, Queen B2 check.
There might be multiple ways there, indeed.
King.
And then King G3, and then Queen E5 check.
Oh my word! How does that?
But it doesn't work at all. Well,
I'll take it, right?
Right, because you can just because there's no pin or anything, and there was no.
And I protected the queen.
Even if you took the queen for free, Rook H5 check would win the queen back, so nothing.
Right.
But no, but Queen A7 check is the simple.
That
and then we're just up a rook in the end of the day after Rook H6, Pawn H6, Queen H6. Yeah.
Nice.
Let's go down that route to show it because
that's a beauty because here I very much doubt it. Oops, there's a mate. Oops, I have to go keep. That's embarrassing.
Those mates crop up when you got the 2 queens. Yes.
Well, Maurice was mentioning king protection, king safety. Queen takes, and it's just over. There's no. The
one check you have allows a trade of queens.
That's it. So, oops.
Well,
check.
Yeah, you could have moved your king to G8 and do the same thing.
Right. Okay. But it does mean that Ding Liren
this is over.
Is winning at this moment then.
Wow, what a game.
Wow.
And
I'll have to refresh the board, guys, just to see what line that they
because I think
we're at bishop takes f7 and bishop takes f7 check was played.
That's on the board.
Maminar did play bishop takes f7 check.
That board apparently we have problems with the DGT board, so that's going to be able to show that position, the position with Ding Liren. So the position you actually have is correct after bishop f7, and that's all we have.
Okay.
Yeah, but they did go along those lines.
But they did go along those lines, and I think Mamedirov is coming to the realization. Probably he missed that Queen A7 move.
Wow.
And coming to the realization that this one's over and Ding Liren will win, which would be
huge.
Absolutely huge.
And it will send Chinese fans into celebration, but also American fans, because that's really a result that Fabi's begging for.
Unfortunately for American fans, though, Fabi is in trouble.
Is he?
Fabi is concretely in trouble in his game, and he allowed this. Remember, he was going back and forth. King D8, Bishop D2, King C8, Queen F1, a nice waiting move, and after Rook D6, a pounce takes. Queen F5 check, simple double check, and winning the pawn.
Right.
Simply. And if we go down this analysis, take your pawn.
Right.
And suddenly
take the pawn on H2.
That was not played. Queen takes was not played in the game. I believe.
Bishop C6.
Now let's see why. Queen
Bishop
check.
C6 looks scary.
Bishop to C6 hitting a rook.
If you take the rook, I wanted to take on E7. And if you go rook c7, I want to go queen g8.
So the engine doesn't like your move because maybe queen c2?
Queen takes c2. Okay. I could.
Wait, let's try this line again. Takes. Oh, wait, now queen c2. You don't have a mate.
Oh.
You don't have a mate because the rook's guarding d7.
You can just dance away.
Yeah,
exactly.
And we're threatening mate here ourselves.
Exactly.
Check and mate. So.
Okay. Nice. Wow.
So queen. So this position here.
Queen takes h2.
Why can't?
There's got to be another move then.
Oh, wait. Check. Check looks challenging. Because if you block, then suddenly some kind of nasty check like this one, maybe.
There's a wonderful discovery. You're picking up both rooks with that check.
That's pretty. I mean, you can play rook takes, allowing queen takes, king moves.
Check and mate.
Check, king up, check.
Mate. Gotcha.
Bye-bye.
I like that.
So that's nasty. So if you take on h2 and this check, you can't play rook d8.
So you have to play king c7, right?
Boy, you're
But
asking
now
for
queen a8.
Queen a8. And we have breaking news, guys.
Yeah, bad news.
Wait, no, I think the breaking news is
Da-da-da-da.
that Mamidarov has resigned and Ding Liren wins
Wow.
the game.
Whoa.
What a
could have seen
game.
that?
But-
Who could have seen that coming?
But seriously, that game, I mean, that was so cool, that tactical idea at the end.
Right.
Allowing takes on f7 and bishop
But-
takes or queen takes.
Jen, come on, G4,
Whoa.
G5, going for it. Give him credit for having all that heart. But Mamidarov, he just went too much all in this game.
Right.
When he traded off a pair of rooks, when the pair of rooks came off the board, and then I saw the move G4 in the position, I felt like it's not justified the attack. You're giving
Right.
too much for the limited material that you have on the board. And to
Right.
attack in that big a way when the guy has almost no weaknesses at all, that felt more like a positional grind position than when you can say, oh, your H-pawn is sticking on H6. Oh, I'm going to just mate you with G5. That G4, G5 seemed like a dubious plan, and Ding Liren just spanked it.
Right.
Especially after he traded knights as well. You can't get rid of pieces and then expect to break through a guy's position. And with his weak king, Ding Liren showed why he's such a great attacking player. He will be kicking himself. He could have played knight d8 yesterday, but give him credit for having all the heart to come back today.
That's right. And Shaq, meanwhile, perhaps he was in this game thinking, seeing the horizon ahead of him.
Right.
I've only got 2 more whites.
Right.
I need to win a game most likely to be in the hunt for that $1 million match.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's really all or nothing. And that's why he went all in today. But, you know, he could have waited for tomorrow, perhaps. But here we have it.
Look how that impacts our scoreboard.
That's right, Fabiano Caruana with 7 points. Can he draw this game and maintain or increase his lead to a full point ahead of Mamidarov and Ding Liren?
And that just shows what the great import of the game between Sergey. And talk about surging Sergey. He does stand better at this moment in our broadcast. And should he win, he will be tied at the top with Fabi at 7.
With better tie breaks eternally.
With better tie breaks.
Nothing will ever be able to change that because
Right.
they
They're
played each other.
head-to-head.
They won't play each other again, and the head-to-head will be in Sergei Kuryakin's favor.
Wow.
Having drawn Fabi earlier in the event.
You know, respect. I mean, seriously, Sergey started this tournament so badly. He was in the cellar. He had 2 losses, and what he has done over those last, I'm going to say, 7 rounds, has been nothing short of absolutely fantastic. Now, let's go back to...
You can't say fabulous because he's playing Fabiano, right? You're looking for a different word.
Let's go back to Maurice and take a closer inspection of Fabi's position as he's struggling to stay alive in this game. What do you have for us, Maurice?
Well, actually, I have the finale of the game between Ding Liren and Mamidarov that has completely shaken up the standings as the Chinese superstar is now only a half a point out of first. The move A3, we talked about this earlier. The move G5 happened. This king precariously perched on the F2 square with no protection to speak of, while black making his counterplay with A3. The black king, of course, absolutely secure. And it was this, after B4, this fantastic move, rook A8, getting the rook out of danger, protecting the bishop. You just had a unit of protection securing the king side. And in the meantime, white, with nothing to speak of, as this pawn was going down the board and the B4 pawn about to drop, he did go for it with B5. But unfortunately, this pawn is not nearly as dangerous as the A pawn. And after takes, then he queen and now takes with check. Bishop takes, takes on f7 check and king to h7. The critical point being that rook h5 is simply not playable at all. Instead, he played queen h4, and after queen h6, rook h5, hoping for some chances. The move you mentioned, Jen, queen to a7, simple fork, and that's it. You're going to drop this, and there's going to be, actually, the king h7 was even smarter than king h8. We instinctively put it on h8 because we like to avoid light squares, light square attack from the bishop. But by being here, he made it even clearer that you make your next move, whatever it is, then simply capture. You don't even talk about another check on the next move. That would be it. So he resigned after queen a7 check. Game over. Ding Liren now showing real fortitude, because remember, he drew all those games. He could have won yesterday, but he's surging. We talked about surging Sergey. Yeah. He's surging as well, starting to look dangerous, and being only a half a point out. Wow. Hey, if Kuryakin wins, and that is still a long way off, but if Kuryakin wins, then he's only going to be a half a point behind with 2 games to play. We see his road so far. He had a string of draws all the way. You only see that number 1 at round 12 with 2 rounds to go. And I don't think anybody wants to play this guy. I don't think anybody wants to play him. The way he's shown himself, acquitted himself, he said, I'm hard to beat. And now, if you start slipping at the end, could we have a Ding Liren as the challenger?
We placed Kuryakin in the last round, guys.
Whoa.
With black, but still.
Oh, man. But Kuryakin might have to win that game. So anything can happen. The story of this candidate is yet to be written.
Yesterday, Maurice, you were talking, lamenting the lament of all chess players. I was winning. I was winning. Yeah, I know. Next. I was winning. This is a tournament of I was winning. If you think about Ding Liren and that Grishuk game, and if he had put that finishing touch on a masterpiece with knight e8, he could have been tied for first. If you think about, how many guys could have said, look, if not just for that one result, I'd be good. If Fabi had won the game against Ding Liren, okay, Ding would be up, just out. Fabi would be leading by a point, and we'd be talking, okay.
But he still might be leading by a point if he draws today. If he draws today, he'll be leading by a full point.
If Vladimir hadn't imploded in so many of his games,
he would have offered a gift to Fabi. If Aronian had simply just taken a draw and not giving Fabi that victory,
right?
I mean, there's a lot of ifs, and
Yeah, I was winning ifs.
No, you can't talk about possibilities. And also, by the way, if Ding Liren had won yesterday with knight d8, that crush, Mamadira might have said, don't bother this guy.
Okay.
I'm not going to play for g4, g5. I'm going to just relax and play a bit more solidly and play the positional route. As it stood, he might have felt like Ding Liren was a bit demoralized. And let me go after him. Let me just be aggressive against him. And that's what he decided to do. And Ding Liren said, no, I'm not the one.
Yeah.
Another person whose today round is good for is Alexander Grishuk, because he's sitting on +1, watching Mavidarov get knocked down.
Wonderful.
That's fantastic for his chances to win this tournament as well.
Absolutely. And we haven't spoken about his chances because he is up against Levon Aronian. He does have white. He's in a position 4 versus 4. This really does look draw because of the reduced material. Essentially, one weakness in the position for Levon, this backward pawn, but can't be enough. Simply can't be enough. This game's heading towards a draw. Over to you, Maurice.
One game that does not look like it's headed towards a draw, you're talking about it, is that game with Khurana. And after rook dd7, queen takes g5, that is, count them, 2 pawns and a monster bishop on d5. We mentioned that taking on h2 is too dangerous. He tried to trade queens. None of that. King d8, and then g5, putting the squeeze on this f-pawn so it cannot move. And queen to d6. Again, queen h8, rook e8, and queen h4. And, guys, after queen g6, the big worry is Harry h-pawn. Move the queen out the way, start pushing the pawn down the board. Your king is forever in danger. We talk about major piece endings. King safety is an issue. Well, king safety is an issue pretty much in any position, but particularly in major piece endings. We have here a bishop that's acting like more than a rook, in fact. We see here that this white king, super secure on a2.
Right.
This black king, no home ever in the history of time. He's not going to get safe. And now this queen is going to move out of the way, push the h-pawn, create this as play, and also look at some kind of penetration possibilities. This one looks lost. This one looks really, really bad. Again, we talked about 2-result game. I think we're pretty secure on the fact that this is a 2-result game as far as Kuryakin's concerned. And he's thinking more like, oh, it's a 1-result game. I'm going to take you down. And this is going to really change the standings. A very bad game for Fabiano. But give Kuryakin credit. He sacrificed an exchange on D5 and said, let's make it happen. And it's working in his favor.
It really does look grim. Wow.
Great game, great result for the tournament being as exciting as possible in the last 2 rounds, but terrible for the American fans. So,
absolutely.
Of course, as a commentator, I am excited that the last couple rounds will be thrilling. But as a Fabi fan, this result being a loss would be very sad.
Very, very sad indeed. I have some moves. I think you just left us, Maurice, after Queen G6. They're getting close to time control. Queen G4 sets up a nasty. There is, as you're saying, the H-pawn coming. There is the potential even of a discovered attack with Bishop E4, attacking both Queen and Rook on D7. We did have this move, Rook G5, and just as you said, 2 pawns. What do you do with pawns? You push them. H2, H4.
We should point out that queen takes D7 doesn't work here.
Yes, the immediate queen, I was thinking more along the lines of Bishop E4, but you're absolutely right. The immediate, if you try to reduce to win an exchange, this move Queen D6 blocks that effort.
And by the way, point out Bishop F7 as well.
Pardon me?
Bishop
takes
F7
F7 is a move?
Queen takes, no. Queen takes Rook.
Oh, sorry. You mean, oh, I understand. Excuse me. Queen takes, king takes, bishop takes F7. Discover check.
But there's Queen D6, which makes it like, but still.
No, more powerful is Queen
takes D3, right?
And then I'm just in time to pick off this pawn before it becomes a monster as well.
Yeah, you want 2 of them, huh?
And that's why this move H2, H4, keeping all of those tactics alive.
So now Queen D7 is a threat, huh?
Well, and maintaining...
Maybe.
Just maintaining this pawn on G5, but, you know, I like your idea, Maurice. Just, you know, now the queen's on G6, okay, you're stuck over there. Maybe it's time for White's queen to start, tickling.
There's going to be a lot of tickling in this game.
And it's not going to be pleasant. No.
Yeah, it's gonna feel like pinpricks.
Yeah,
tickle when they have those long fingernails.
Yeah.
Like, could you cut your nails, please?
yeah, right.
Like tickling.
They're kind of long, yeah.
Yeah, this looks like okay. Fabi's going to need help to saving this position.
Particularly unfortunate that we're not at move 40 yet, and those are a heck of 3 moves to have to make in time pressure, right? Like. You really want to be able to sink in and defend, right?
Yeah, but you also have you need something to look forward to too, right? You say, okay, what are my fortresses? What pieces do I need to trade off? Black would probably like to just have the queens off the board. That would make his king safety issue less. But it's like you can't achieve any of those things. And again, just to really. Buttress the point, any counterattacks, because you're always looking for counterattacks, right? Yeah, like, hey, I'm suffering. I want to give my opponent problems. And I'm looking for a counterattack with that king, such a safe cocoon on A2. This is really, really, really terrible.
Oh, God.
It looks terrible.
It looks awful.
Oh,
man, the energy in the room just
No,
went down about
the reality was
about
he was in trouble.
Nachos.
Look, well, he looked like he was in trouble for a long time. When I said that 2-result position, you don't want to be in a 2-result position. You don't want to be shifting your king back and forth, king D8, king C8, and daring the guy to find something, because mistakes abound in that situation. When the pressure's on, it builds. And Kuryakin, need we say, what kind of closer this young man is.
Wow.
3 out of 5 already. He's going to make it 4 out of 6.
Wow.
4 wins I'm talking about. If he wins this game, he would have scored 5 points out of the last 6 games.
Amazing.
5 points against this crowd. What a road he has. And by the way, loser in round 1. Draw 2 games, loser in round 4. Then he drew 2 more games. We weren't even talking about him. He was in the cellar, -2. But then round 7, a hit. Then round 8, a draw, another hit in round 9, another draw, another hit in round 11, and looks like another one in round 12. And no one wants to play him for sure, because Sergey is showing why it is that he, in the big moments, can rise. He may not have backed up his win in Moscow by defeating Magnus Carlsen or by winning too many tournaments, but when it's back to the candidates, when it counts, he is showing that he has the intestinal fortitude, and he's the only one in this tournament who's ever won a candidates. And you can see why right now.
Yeah, man, I'm just kind of, I felt the air sucked out of my lungs as well there, because this result, especially out of the opening, I thought that, Fabi had basically way back earlier, let me just go to a position. I thought that, well, more or less, just about these parts right here, that things were looking just pretty safe. And after a move like bishop f3, I kind of thought that Fabi was going to play queen c7, double his rooks, maybe bring his rook to e8. Maybe just an error of judgment. I still think that, this bishop on d5, an extra pawn, big compensation for white. I'm not arguing that point, but I really didn't expect this thing to go south. Maybe exactly at this moment, by the way, coming on the show, actually, we had this position. I was talking with Christian about it. I didn't expect, Christian Chirilla, Grandmaster Chirilla, I didn't expect the move b7, b6. The problem I have with that move is it really does open up this diagonal. It always makes it very unpleasant for black if a white queen ever lands on the a8 square. I had thought that he was going to play a move like, for example, king b8, queen f2, bishop f8, and maintain his pawn on b7. As it turned out, the practical problems that black was facing brought him to this situation where now it's 2 pawns. And I don't know if we have more moves, Jen.
We do have a couple more moves, as they rapidly
grim.
Approach move 40. The last move we looked at, it was h4, correct? And now here Fabi played king to e7.
King to e7.
And, there's all those tactics with queen takes d7, but with queen d3 at the end. Here, Kuryakin played a very quiet move. He played the move rook to d2. Quickly also, which it can't be fun in time pressure. Your opponent just slams down rook d2. It's not exactly the first candidate that you were thinking of, right? So rook to d2
but guess
was played.
What? I mean, he's got ideas. Rook f2, rook g2. If he can play rook g2 and h5, it's curtains.
There's a discovery also.
And he's
setting
setting
up the discovery on.
Thank you. There, yes. And what happened after
on
rook d2?
On f7?
b5 was played.
There's a
what?
b5 by Fabi. I don't know where that came from. Just
b5.
That's what happened.
Okay.
That's called desperation.
That's called desperation.
And then bishop takes f7 by.
That's
by
what I was
Sergey.
talking. That's explosive. Take on f7, disco heaven.
Resigns, right?
Well, he did not resign. Actually, he found the move queen to f5. Only move, I'm assuming.
Right.
Queen f5 now.
But that's how many pawns? 3 pawns?
That's 3 pawns.
With two connected babies on the right side?
Yes.
You got no counterplay? Looks like you got to trade off rooks.
Yes, rook takes d7, king takes d7. And this took us to move 40. And here we are.
This is lost.
Well, the most direct is just to take, and g6. Oh, he has king e7. I beg your pardon.
So that's why the game's not just totally over, right? There's
right.
king e7, so that if g7, you can just take the bishop off.
With the king, very importantly. Right, okay.
So maybe you don't want to push that pawn so fast then, because the bishop...
Well, how's this, Jen? I mean, I'm getting a 4-2 majority on the other side as well.
You're just going to take on b5.
I'm thinking.
Can I round up the h pawn though with rook h5, considering that g7 is always met by king takes f7?
Correct.
That's a nice pawn to get.
Right.
So white, white should be winning, right? But is it that easy? He still has some work to do.
What if he doesn't trade queens?
Exactly. So let's just see what we do have. We have bishop takes f7, queen f5, rook takes, king takes. And Maurice has just asked a very salient question. How do we avoid trading queens, Maurice? We drop back.
Drop with check,
Yeah, we drop back with a check.
King e7?
Most likely king e7 and move my bishop, maybe?
No, push.
Push?
Push, I want you thinking about this pawn forever. I want you to never stop thinking about this pawn.
Okay. Well, we always have resigns, so let's just, I don't know, take a pawn.
All right, now the queen has to sneak in.
Wow.
Queen D2. Queen D2.
Queen D2.
Queen D2. And what I'm trying to sneak in is
over that way.
Is over there.
Or maybe over there. Or
Although Sergey did choose to go for the end game, thought it was winning, so we are going to take a
traded
quick break
queens.
and you know, check back in on this critical game and see if Sergey can make a girl or and burst the tournament wide open.
Oh, definitely. Wow.
We'll be back in just a few minutes with more.
As the St. Louis Chess Club celebrates its 10th anniversary, the U.S. Championships return to St. Louis for the 10th straight year. This April, America's best players descend on St. Louis to play for the country's top honor. Wesley So and Sabina Feuser will be defending their championships as they face an all-star field. Don't miss America's Best Battle It Out at the St. Louis Chess Club, celebrating 10 years of promoting, teaching, and playing the game of chess. For tickets and more information, go to stlouischessclub.org.
Healthcare in America is changing, evolving, and we're helping lead the transformation. Ascension is made up of physicians and other caregivers called to deliver compassionate, personalized care for all. As one of the largest providers of care in the country, our patients benefit from collaboration between hospitals, medical practices, and healthcare innovators nationwide. Ascension's faith-based heritage means we have a moral obligation to serve everyone, especially those who are struggling. Last year, we provided almost $2 billion in care for people living in poverty and for programs to help them. Whether it's in a hospital, a neighborhood clinic, a senior living facility, or at home, Ascension's care providers value every aspect of our patients' lives and health. We listen with respect to ensure every person we serve gets the right care for them. Personalized, compassionate, that's Ascension.
welcome back to Today in Chess, where today in St. Louis there is a sadness in the air as it looks like Fabiano Caruana could be going down to Sergei Kuryakin. But let's not count him out just yet. Are there some defensive possibilities in this endgame, Yasser?
Well, let's take a look. The players did follow the line that we were analyzing. We'll just take it from this moment. They did. Sergei did go for the queen trade. Maurice was mentioning it was also possible for white to continue playing with the queens on the board. After the move g7, g6, g5, g6, pardon me, you're threatening g7 and a queen. King e7 was forced. Sergei clipped that pawn on b5, rook h4, and after this move c4, rook takes h4, he's just played this move a4, and I thought there might be possibilities of defense, but I'm anticipating that white will just play the move a5, the king will have to go to d6, and at a certain moment, white is just going to bring his king up the board, play this move b4, and I don't see the defensive possibilities. This 4 versus 2 majority is just too much.
It's too easy in a way, right? Like white's moves are not exactly rocket science.
Not at all.
I think like a 1800 in this position would clean it up.
Would absolutely, no question about it. Because okay, you're just waiting. That's basically all you can do is wait.
Maybe there is some trick where the 1800 would fall to a Fabiano Caruana. Like, maybe there's something, but Sergei Kuryakin, it does seem a little too easy, doesn't it?
It does. B6 is on tap, and wow, Maurice, what do you got for us?
Well, it's a tough situation for Fabi, and what can we say? The tournament is going to be blow wide open. Let's take a look at the standings, the updated standings. I'd love to see that list, because now we can start making some projections as it's mayhem. Madness and mayhem. All right, we have a position pending with Fabi and Sergei Kuryakin. We suspect that Kuryakin's going to win that game. Mamedirov at 6.5, Ding Liren at 6.5, and Grishchuk trying to make something happen in that game against Aronian, but it should also bring him to 6.5. Kramnik at 5.5 will be outside for sure of being able to come back. It'd be incredible if somehow he could make it to tie in some math. But with that jumble at the top, no predictions can be made. None. All we know is Ding Liren starting to play well. And we do have breaking news. In fact, it seems as though it has happened. Yes, we expected it. Sergei Kuryakin, scoring 4 wins out of 6 games, has defeated Fabiano Caruana, repeating the result from 2 years ago when he defeated Caruana then in Moscow in the last round and went on to become the challenger to Magnus Carlsen. He has done this now in a different way, bringing a win to bring himself into a tie with Caruana, but there are 2 rounds to go. So Fabi's fans, they're feeling like he still has a chance with 2 rounds to go, and he absolutely does. Anything could happen in this tournament.
And to further the parallel between 2 years ago, in that tournament, Sergei Kuryakin and Fabiano Caruana played in the last round. They had the same number of points. One would think a draw would be okay. They tie for first.
Right.
But just like in this case, it's not going to be enough.
It's all about the tiebreaks.
Fabi had worse tiebreaks than Kuryakin that year, and this year, anytime they had the same number of points, the first tiebreak is head-to-head. Fabi is going to lose this,
and he has lost
because he lost to Sergei Kuryakin. He's always going to lose on tiebreaks to Sergei Kuryakin if there's a tie for first. So actually, this loss is even worse than it looks for American fans.
Exactly.
It means Fabi has got to get 1.5 out of 2 in the next 2 rounds.
And Sergei can't.
Yes, and Sergei has to only get 1 out of 2. Obviously, Sergei losing one of his games.
Yeah.
And he does play Ding Liren in the last round, who will be super motivated.
Absolutely.
So still anything can happen, but a really terrible outcome, no doubt, for Fabiano Caruana.
We'll have to do more investigations, but you're talking about tie breaks. Imagining that Sergei finishes the tournament at +2, and his tie breaks are wonderful, but Ding Liren, assuming Ding were to finish the title.
Surprise, surprise. How does Yasser get?
Whoa.
Sunshine on a rainy day.
No way.
And to all the most beautiful women in the chess club, no doubt.
I know.
And some of our most important people here in the production.
Wow.
Joy Bray, Jen Humer, Tammy, Beth.
Oh,
Thank
my
you
gosh.
all.
Oh, my word.
Yes,
okay.
that's right. Stay up here on the stage.
Oh.
Happy birthday,
Thank you.
Yasser.
I don't get paid enough. Oh, look at this. What? Look,
Blow them all out, Yaz. Show us those lungs.
My favorite.
I hope you made a wish.
Yeah.
I hope you made the right wish, Yaz.
This is Groundhog Day. It will happen again tomorrow.
How come there are only four? How come there are only four candles?
Thank you. Four
only
candles.
They're going to burn down the building if they brought all the
Wow.
candles.
And nobody touched the pecan pie.
That's
got my name on it.
Trust me.
My name on it.
26 years old. Dude, Yaz, if only you made the wish that you just made yesterday,
Yeah.
maybe Fabiano wouldn't have lost.
No way. I wasn't 26 there. I think I'm 16. I mean, seriously.
No, they're saying you're 26 now.
Oh, and here's
very good.
a nice one from our friend Anton Squared Me. Always has the best photoshops. And this
Girls,
is
girls.
What do you mean Photoshop? I remember seeing Yasser with those women.
Oh, you were there, right? Happy birthday, Yasser. This is a good one.
This is a goodie.
We got a lot of other tweets from people, big fans, including a little poem from #NightOfGood, who says, "From Damascus to Seattle, he is always ready to battle. Yasser is our hero. First place, never zero. Pass pawns, push him, baby." Andrew Barry, Chris and David, now Edward, Frank, George, and Hank. Guard your 64 square lawn, because Yasser will grab your pawn.
There we go.
That's a nice one.
Very, very nice.
Although
very creative.
Although past pawns today, it's like not really what we want to hear about.
Yeah.
Considering that they were the downfall of our own Fabiano Caruana.
No kidding. Sergei just pushed his pawns, and I suspect at the end he recognized that, in fact, White's king doesn't have to just play with his majority, but he can go over and support his past G7 pawn, because now Black's king is forever trapped on the queen side. So the past pawns.
By the way, well, we got that bad news in, at least for the largely American audience of Today in Chess. I'm sure we do have some Sergei fans.
Oh, for sure.
But we got that bad news. We also got some more news. Grisha, a game between Levon Aronian, as expected, was a draw. But you know what? Today was actually an awesome day for Grisha. You know, he should be looking around and saying, like, sweet,
it
yeah.
is, right? Yeah.
Because his chances of winning the tournament have gone way up by virtue of what happened in the games with Kuryakin and especially Mamedarov.
Right. Number one and number two both losing this all-important 12th round. There's our results this far.
So that's put him half a point behind Fabiano, whereas before he was a full point ahead of the leaders. Now, it might not matter as much as you think, because he's still probably going to have a task in the final round to beat Fabi with White.
Yeah, well, we'll have our researchers.
That will be the same order, probably.
Yeah, we'll have our researchers trying to figure out these tie breaks. But remember when we were saying it's a 2-horse race?
Yeah,
it's a real
I never believed that for a second. But look,
horse race.
Five horses?
There are 5 of them. But look at this. If you take a look at this list, according to the tie breaks, Sergei Kuryakin's tie break is better than Fabi's right now because he defeated Fabi in head-to-head.
Right.
So that's one. And also he has more wins. He has now 5 wins in this competition. 5 wins, more than anyone else. No, sorry, it must be 4 wins. 4 wins, but still more than anyone else in the competition.
And 2 losses, wins. Yeah.
So he has more wins than Fabi, and so that tiebreak, he's better on the second tiebreak and the head-to-head, so he's better on the first tiebreak. So that puts him really in first place. His name should be above Fabi's right now, technically. Right. Ding Liren, his name should be over Mamedarov's because his tiebreak is better than Mamedarov's because he hit Mamedarov. Their head-to-head means anything. So Mamedarov effectively is in 4th place right now.
Correct.
And Grishchuk.
Although Mami did beat Kuryakin, so that helps if they both tie.
If they both tie, they're the only 2 who tie. So there's a lot of little head-to-head infighting going on amongst the top. Now, did Grishchuk beat any of these players?
I don't know. We'll double check on that. But this is the playoff format, or rather the tiebreak format. Again, the number one tiebreak A is the players involved in the tie and the games that they've played between themselves. Should that be even or equal, then they go to tiebreak B, which is what you've just been describing. 4 wins for Sergey. So if Sergey gets in a tie, he's looking gold. And if that should be tied, then it's the Sonnenberg-Berger. And because of these 2 results, Sergey winning today, that is a great, improves his Sonnenberg-Berger, as does Ding Liren, because Shaq was number 2 coming into this round.
Although it doesn't look like it's going to get to that tie break. Somehow it seems that one of the other 2 will pretty much decide it, I think, in most incarnations. But
wow,
no,
2 rounds we're going to
victories with Kramnik and beat So he is not he's not relevant.
The Sonnenberg-Berger,
although
he must have won 2 games.
He won against So and Kramnik. So
I
he
see.
Split
That's
victories versus Kramnik.
Right. So so his tie breaks are not great.
No.
In fact, he only has 2 wins. Even if he gets 3 wins, his tie breaks will not be great. +2 will not do it for him.
Although if he beats Fabi in the last round, I guess that doesn't even really matter because he'll actually now leapfrog over Fabi unless Fabi wins
we'll
tomorrow.
Have to do a lot of math scoring, but this is Fabi's road thus far.
Well, hey, he's got a rest day, and because of what we've been saying about Mamidara's tiebreaks, about Kuryakin's tiebreaks being better than his, Mamidara's would have been as well. Fabi probably has to go in tomorrow versus Lovana Ronion, and
he has to win.
Yeah, either that or in the last round. Those are the 2 options.
With the black pieces?
With the black pieces against Richter.
Possibly.
Well,
you'll get a chance.
But Grishik has to try to win himself, so it's not as bad as it seems, right?
Depends on tomorrow's result.
Yeah.
Next game's result in 2 days, because we have a day off.
Just a reminder on two points. Tomorrow, Sunday, is a free day for the players and ourselves, but on Monday we'll be starting an hour earlier because of daylight savings.
Important reminder indeed. In the United States, we have daylight savings earlier than they have it in Europe, so we're going to be starting at 11 Central as opposed to 12 Central.
And these are our Monday pairings. If we thought today's pairings were vital to the tournament, take a look at what we have in store on Monday.
Every game matters.
Every game matters. It certainly does. And American fans, Wesley, you haven't had a good tournament, but you will make us all proud.
Yes.
You will make us all very, very happy.
Let's go Wesley.
Go Wesley. I'll bring my pom-poms. And Fabi versus Lavon and Ding also in the hunt. Mammy, every game.
That game at the top, definitely. Now that Mamazirov is only tied with Grishuk, and he realizes the last white that he's going to have, how is he going to handle what he did today? By the way, he could have just played conservatively today, not go crazy with G4, G5.
He'd be in first.
He'd be tied for first with no problem.
Right.
I don't know why he went all in so desperately, and it just looked dubious what he was doing, and he didn't handle himself the right way. Yasser, I think you made this big point in that game where he could have played knight d3 instead of allowing a trade of knights.
Right.
Once the position pieces left the board, then it was all about king position, and now we have this score ahead of us. Why don't we have Fabi's rating here, by the way? I'm just trying to figure out.
He's the only one who doesn't have a rating. He's just too good. Too good, Maurice. His ratings have broken all the calculators.
Yeah, right. I don't think so.
But, Maurice, listening to you when you were describing Sergey's extraordinary run, 5 out of 6, if you were just to isolate those results, 5 out of 6, he's playing at 3,000 level. It's amazing.
The guy was on the bottom of the tournament.
He was in the cellar, no question.
He was in the cellar. And look at his name right now.
Wow.
Absolutely incredible. Like you said, 4 wins out of 6 games. That totals...
And 2 draws.
With 2 draws, that totals 5 points out of 6. See, my belief about this event is you want to say to everybody else, I am the man, I am the rightful challenger, and the rest of you are just pretenders. That's what you want to say when you play this kind of tournament. You go back to somebody like Bobby Fischer, for example, when he stormed through the opposition. Okay, nobody's going to do that again because he just ripped everybody in front of him. in his matches against Larson, his match against Taimanov, match against Petrosian. He said, you guys, please, I'm the man. Now, Spassky, it's your turn to take this boot. You want to have that kind of performance. And right. Sergey started off slow, and now he's saying, no, excuse me, you guys don't have the heart like I have it. I'm the one you're supposed to be worried about, and you should have been worried about. And you saw me drop a couple of games, but here he's coming back like a true challenger. Right. And, boy, I think if he stays stable, which it looks like he can, he just seems to do, he's just the odds-on favorite to win this event again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he is the favorite now. Yeah, because he's basically, because of the tiebreaks, he's got split odds, he's got tie breakouts.
Right. Just buttressing exactly what you're saying about throttling the field and saying, I'm number one, I'm the guy who's winning it. I mean, I'm forcefully reminded of extraordinary performance of Veselin Topalov in San Luis. That was for the World Championship. He just blew the competition out of the water with a +6. Then I'm thinking about Vichy Anand in Mexico City. Same situation. It was for the World Championship. He took that tournament by storm and never relinquished it. And so what Sergey's doing now is just mind-boggling. It's fantastic.
But who's got the better road ahead? So with black and Ding Liren with white is Sergey's order. And
Sergey's order, say it again, sorry.
So he plays
Wesley
So
of course,
with black,
right.
And then he plays Ding Liren with white in the final round.
Wow, that sounds like he's got his destiny in his own hands, but go on, yes.
And then meanwhile, Fabiano Caruana, on the other hand.
And white with Levon, black with Grisha.
Yeah, so, I mean, he also, in a way, has the destiny on his side because he knows that Grisha's going to be trying to play for a win, so he'll probably have a shot in that game.
Yeah, and Levon's the one with the target on his back, even though Levon played a good game today and held Grisha at bay.
It's really a toss-up there because Ding Liren is finding his fire. Grishuk's been, playing pretty well during the tournament.
Enterprisingly, yeah.
And then you've got So and Levon who are both having bad tournaments, but Aronian, of course, on an even bigger downswing in the last few rounds.
And remind me again about Mammy's road ahead. He's got 2 games.
Well, I mean, ours have an interesting one as well.
He's got white tomorrow. White on Monday. Sorry.
He plays Grishuk with white tomorrow, and then he plays Kramnik with black in the final round. So
Kramnik with black. Oof.
So Kramnik, he's going to get his chances.
Kramnik, look at Kramnik. He could play spoiler, and he's a true spoiler. Aronian, I don't see as a spoiler. Wow. He's going to be in there trying to stabilize. But Kramnik, he's going in swinging no matter what. And as he's played, he could be the one people are saying, good, I'm glad you're playing Kramnik. Right. Because anything could happen. But then again, Kramnik could also just lose those games, given the way he's been playing. So it's 50-50. Who will be the one that tastes Kramnik's genius or maybe his overestimation of a position that causes him to lose?
But for Ding Liren and Chuck, I think that's actually good because they are a point behind. So they want there to be a greater chance of a decisive draw. You're either in or you're out. That's what they want.
Wow, but the table is being set for an absolutely dramatic finish to this extraordinary candidates tournament. Maurice, we're going to turn it over to you to share your final thoughts because what a tournament. What can you say?
Indeed, what can be said? It's just been fighting chess from round 1. I mean, they didn't come in trying to warm up to this tournament. It was immediately the gloves were off, and it was just simply MMA in here. They just wanted to beat everybody up and let's go. And we have seen it. We've seen that fighting spirit. It's been a tremendous event. They're putting it all on the line. Today was definitely a sad day for the leader, Fabiano Caruana, and for Americans. But it has indeed turned into a free-for-all once again, a crazy tournament. Nobody can make any predictions about what's going to happen except some more crazy stuff's going to go on. So exciting tournament, a rest day ahead as well to give all the players fighting energy. It should be amazing on Monday.
Wow.
Yeah, yes. But boy, I do feel so deflated at this exact moment in time. I hope it won't be a funeral wake on Monday.
I'm still optimistic, yes.
Okay, good.
I like that rest day. I like that Fabio's going to be able to get a chance. Let's put it this way. He might not qualify, but he's going to get his chances. In the next 2 rounds, he's going to be in there. He's playing against guys who have a lot at stake as well.
Exactly.
And if he brings it, he has a very good chance of becoming the challenger to Magnus. So
I want to share your optimism. I'm just taken aback. This was not the birthday present I signed up for.
I'm not saying it's going to happen, but he's going to have his chances.
Right.
So I like that. It could be. I mean, he could be playing against, perhaps like So and Aroni in the last two great games, people who might not be as incentivized to blow it open. So I do like those pairings. And by the way, Kramnik is still playing himself. I hate to mention it, but let's point out that if Kramnik wins all of his last 3 games, he could be a contender too.
Are you serious?
I mean, yeah, if he wins all of them, it would bring him to +2. Nobody is +3 yet, so +2 would give you a chance, but he has to win 3 in a row.
Wow. Well,
but
Jen,
and first he would have to win this game. Does he have winning chances?
The position I have, it really looks like Wesley's going to hold on.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So, well, folks, it's been, as always, an eventful day here Today in Chess. And we're going to see you Monday for another extraordinary edition of the show.
Happy birthday, Yaz. I know it wasn't the gift that you had in mind, but maybe Fabio will give you some belated birthday gifts. We will find out on Monday. I'm Jennifer Shahade with Yasser Seirawan and Maurice Ashley from the St. Louis Chess Club. And we will see you in a couple days.